It was really frustrating to hear stories about how Indigenous activists weren't being listened to, so I got in touch with Helena Gwalinga, one of the youth activists Dylan met in Madrid. She's studying at a school in Finland right now, but she grew up in Ecuador. Her family is part of a tribe who live deep in the Amazonian rainforest.
Growing up there is very different from growing up in the outside. The only way to get there is by airplane or canoe. There are no roads, you cannot get there by car, so it's like totally isolated from the outside. And you know, the entire community is surrounded by forest, and it's a small community of 1,000-something people. So it's very, very small, and we have a river that goes through the community. We live by fishing and hunting and harvesting. And yeah, like we kind of just live from whatever is surrounding us. That's also why I believe we have such respect to nature, and we just blend into the nature in a way. We see nature as something equal to us.
That's mad, like it's such a different perspective. How do you reckon your community is being affected by climate change?
Everything started for me and for my community 17 years ago when the oil companies entered my community. Those would have been the first damages that we would face, the local damages of the fossil fuel industry. We also started to notice that we had floodings. I had never in my life seen a flooding until I was 12. My elders used to tell me that they came every 20 years, but that year when I was around 12, 13, I saw floodings coming 4 times in a year, and those floodings are only increasing. So that's like one of the first signs I have seen of climate change. But then I think it's also important to lift up that the presence of the fossil fuel industry are causing local damage in areas where they have been exploiting oil.
Helena Gwalinga helped launch the Polluters Out campaign, which is a campaign which basically aims to remove the fossil fuel industries from the discussions centering around climate change. It was launched after COP25 and after it kind of became evident just how much of an influence these big fossil fuel companies were having on these climate discussions.
When I grew up in my community, I always had this fear of losing my land, losing my community, and I would not like any other child to go through that. I don't want that to happen to my community. I don't want that to happen to the next generation. I think that we can do something about it, so I'm trying to not be scared at the same time. I don't know if you like understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. I'm totally with you. I think that uncertainty is a really intimidating thing, but then you've got to try and stay positive, because if you don't stay positive, then you feel sort of like you can't do anything, and that just stops you from